Hello and welcome to Sestra-Tainment. I'm Lenora.
And I'm Dee.
And we're coming to you today in regards to everything entertainment. So, sis, you are up first this week.
Yes.
What do you have?
I actually have a couple of little hot topics that I want to talk about. And
Alrighty.
So just starting off, I wanted to talk about the singer Ella Jenkins. She dies at the age of 100 years old. She is actually a singer-songwriter and is the mother of children's folk songs.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of songs that she wrote is, a lot of things that we probably have sung many a times, including this one.
Miss Mary Mac, all dressed in black,
black,
with silver
buttons,
all down her back. She asked her
mother.
Yeah, so yeah. See, I didn't even know she did that, but she did a whole bunch of songs. Shabbat Shalom is one of the songs. Count from 1 to 10, and it's in Spanish. So she does it for different cultures, and I think that is amazing. So yes, she did pass away at 100 years old, but she definitely made an impact on a lot of children's lives.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about is so Santa.
It's coming to town?
Santa's coming to town, but Santa, you can write Santa a letter,
Yeah.
mail it off.
Yeah.
They send it to the powers that be, and whoever these rich people are, pick some letters and then buy the stuff for the people.
Oh.
So this was what I was.
So this is adults writing Santa or kids?
I don't know, but if it's adults, I'm writing one tomorrow. So this is actually, it was a TikTok creator who told me, who was talking about this.
The United States Postal Service has a program every year called Operation Santa. Yes, you write a letter stating, "Dear Santa Claus." Not playing, I'm very serious, I'm not smiling. Write your wish list, write what it is you need, write something from the heart. And you're going to mail it before November 18, 2024. That is the deadline. You're going to mail it to Santa Claus, 123 Elf Road, North Pole, no state, and the zip code will be 88888, so 5 8s. That's it. What happens is the workers will scrub your personal information from the letter and post it on the website that they have allocated for Operation Santa Claus. People who are well off go on the site and they pick a letter and they go get what you need. Do they do that with every single letter? I don't know. It's my first time. But I was told be detailed because they actually tried their best to just go get what you want, what it is you want and need. So, hope this helps. And I don't know if this is just in the U.S., so you might want to check up on that.
Yeah, so I thought that was awesome. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know this was a thing. And how long has this been out here?
I have no idea.
How many times have kids been able to get their Christmas lists?
Yeah, that's
Thinking about
interesting.
that. But yeah, that's interesting. If that is a real
Yeah,
thing.
and she was walking outdoors. It was cold, so if you were
talking about-
hearing
it was
like her
out of breath. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is. But on a negative note, there was some kind of weird demonstration that was outside the Anne Frank performance. Some masked men waved Nazi flags. It's the Diary of Anne Frank, bro. Like,
wow.
how would you do that? So this is what was talking
You're
about.
at a performance of the Diary of Anne Frank, not because of the disturbing details from her diary, but because of what was happening outside. Nazi flags being held by several people gathered outside of the production. This video shared on social media shows the demonstrators flying the Nazi flag outside the American Legion where the play was being performed.
Several individuals using masks to hide their faces, not only waving Nazi flags, but also reportedly shouting racist slurs. According to several reports, they eventually vacated the premises after the Legion asked them to leave. We have reached out to authorities for more information about this.
We had 75 people downstairs that watched that play. And out of that 75, there was 50 or 60 of them that were afraid to leave this building. We had to escort them to their cars. Nobody in America should feel like that.
Shock and fear at a
Yeah, so that is very sad. And then also, like, if you were a person who is going to be blatantly racist, why are you gonna cover your face? Just go ahead and.
Well, they don't want everybody to know their business and
But
lose their
why?
job.
Well, then I guess you need to start your own.
It's a
company or
free
whatever.
speech country. They didn't say you had to show your face when you did it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean,
well,
that's just what I'm gonna
that's
speculate.
I was going to say with that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you're right. If you're going to be bolden enough to do it, then be bolden. It's like the people who go and hug the tree and stand out there and say, "You're not cutting this tree down." They don't go out with masks on, right? They're like,
That's very
I
true.
want you to know that I am going to get arrested for standing and holding on to this tree."
Yeah, it's like if you're going for a reason other than trying to put fear in other people, that's the only time when you have something on your face. Mm-hmm. You going to rob somebody, you got something on your face.
Yeah, creating fear.
You going to burn crosses in the woods, you got something on your face.
Yes.
You going to I don't even know. Just whatever you're
whatever
trying to
your
do.
goal
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Whatever you're
Goal
trying
of
to do,
choice.
you're always going to have something on your face. I mean, it's that's just what it is, and it's just like, why? If you're going to be about it, be about
Be
it.
about it.
Show the people who you really are. So yeah, but that was just a few of the topics that I had. It's not much, but it's really kind of sad that there are people out here who just want to torment other people for no apparent reason. So, that's all I had. So yeah, what do you have?
Well,
Madam?
I have something that might classify as a hot topic. Hot topic. So, I know before we even started recording, you and I were talking about Wicked.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be coming out
The
Thanksgiving.
22nd?
Somewhere around, next week. So a lot of people buying sales in advance. I already saw a pre-screening with somebody going to Wicked, and people were literally showing up dressed alike.
Oh yeah.
Elphaba and Glenda and all of that. So it's a big thing.
Starbucks is giving out golden Wicked gift cards.
Oh, nice. It's a big deal. It's like
It's
Barbie Wicked. Like
Yeah. It's like
kinda
that. That's like the competition
it's
type
It's
thing.
the same level of attention.
Yeah.
However, they came out with toys for Wicked.
Lord, I don't even want to see them.
No, you don't need to see them. You just need to hear this. Are y'all ready?
Was it
was
Mattel?
apologizing for a Wicked
Mattel is
typo.
apologizing.
So
It's
the
Mattel.
packaging for its new Wicked dolls, which is based on the upcoming movie starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, mistakenly listed an adult website. The box
Oh, yeah, I did hear
meant
about
to
that.
send people to the website wickedmovie.com, but there was a typo that
Yeah.
sent folks to an entirely different website.
Yeah.
It's porn. folks.
Yeah.
It's a porn website. Mattel blamed the mix-up on an unfortunate error, and they vowed to take immediate action.
The
It's a porn
quote
site.
from Mattel: parents are advised that the misprinted incorrect website is not appropriate for children at all.
Imagine that, right?
Yeah. So I was listening to the Breakfast Club,
they were
and
talking
they
about
were
that.
talking about it, and then DJ Envy was like, "Hold on, let me type this in." He said, "Oh yeah, that is porn."
Yeah.
He's
so-
like, "This is an old school porn website."
Oh goodness! Well, they had said that it was. I thought it was saying they were going to OnlyFans, but I guess it was something else. Then, if it's old school,
Yeah.
So
So maybe
yeah.
the stuff that's on
But it's
there
just
is like
weird that Wicked. I mean, if it should have gone to Wicked.com, like what else would it have been that you could take? Like, what was the typo? Like now I'm curious.
no. Wicked.com is the porn site.
Oh, but you would think that.
But instead of them doing Wicked the movie, they didn't put all of that. They just said Wicked.com.
Oh, got it. But still, I think. I don't know. That's weird.
Because it
well,
was just a
everybody, we're not
typo,
saying
yeah.
for you to go
Yeah,
start
don't go-
typing in
yeah.
wicked.com.
Don't
Like,
go and look
we're
up
not
porn
trying
unless you
to-
really want to.
I mean, no judgment.
Yeah, no judgment.
However, I just thought that was kind of interesting that
Yeah.
the person probably had one job, which was to edit and copyright
Yeah.
and ensure that everything on the packaging and the label
Yeah.
was done correctly and appropriately. And they just saw, oh yeah, Wicked sounds like it probably would be Wicked. Why wouldn't it be? This is the name of the movie.
Yeah.
Let's just say Wicked.
Yeah.
And lo
No.
and behold, they had to pull. That's what they did to rectify.
pulled
They pulled
everything.
every doll from the, place. So, I mean, just think about all the reprinting. I mean, they don't have to redo the dolls, but do they just bring them all back, repackage them, and send them all right back out again?
That's all it is. They're going to take them out the box and reprint and put them back in a new box.
But now you got to take people off the production line of creating the new ones. Halt that.
Yeah.
Bring back the old ones. Yeah. Get those in. Have everybody repackage. Well, reprint and make sure that's right. Reprint the new one. And then, some people, if they already bought it, they are like, this is a collector's item.
Oh, absolutely.
This thing is going to be worth so much money. And they probably wish they had bought 7 of them.
Oh, yeah.
Or 20,
absolutely.
So
I wonder if we could catch a store and see if there's one somewhere.
I doubt it. If there was still Toys R Us around, maybe you could have. But no such luck. Well, and I mean, they found it 2 days ago, so we're already behind the curve as it is. So, but anyway, but yeah, that was the only hot topic thing that I had that I wanted to share. So there you go. All right. So my actual topic, though, is going to be about something that I did in the Richmond, Virginia area. It's a 2-parter, actually. One thing is that I visited the Maggie Walker house. Uh-huh. And so for any of you who may happen to one day come to Richmond, Virginia, I wanted to just share with you all some tidbits about Maggie Walker. Excuse me. Now, some of you may have heard of Madam C.J. Walker. There's been movies and different things created in regards to her. 2 different people who may not they probably aren't even related, right?
They just got the same name.
They just had the same last name through marriage, I guess. So, but basically, when it comes to Maggie Walker, we went to the actual home that Maggie Walker purchased in the Richmond area, and she was, just to put in perspective, the first African-American bank president in the nation. Like, she was the lady. Yeah. And she did so much throughout her life that it literally was a 20-minute movie that we watched before we even started the tour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And because of the fact that she was so well known and respected in her time, now, mind you, people today, that her legacy hasn't gotten national recognition like her some other people, for example. But at the same time, she was so known back in her day that literally Franklin Delano Roosevelt would have her phone number and could call her and invited her to Washington, D.C. to just put things in perspective. Yeah. Excuse me. I don't know why I have this tickle. Anyway, so she was born in 1864. Okay. To parents who were slaves, of course. And so, but slavery was ending, and therefore she was kind of coming up in a time where, gosh, I don't know what this tickle is. It's crazy that it's just hitting me, of course, as I'm trying to talk. But during the Reconstruction period, right? Mm-hmm. So it was all about, okay, now that you're free, what are we going to do to reconstruct everything and give people the opportunity to be able to have something of their own?
So sharecropping.
Not there yet, but yeah, some of that too. Yes. But for her, it was her mom was going around to people's homes and saying, hey, do you want me to wash your clothes, fold your laundry, do this, do that? And so she was going with her mom and her brother, and they were getting the laundry. They'd wash the laundry. They'd end up bringing it back, doing all these things. So she was learning kind of a business mindset at a very young age, right? And so what ends up happening is that she goes through her childhood doing those types of things, only gets she gets a decent amount of education as well, which was really great. But then what ends up happening, of course, is Jim Crow starts coming in. So as we're trying to build up people, then you realize, no, we don't want you to be equals. So therefore we're going to make Jim Crow and make you and try to, take you down, so to speak. And so she actually, during the Jim Crow and when, civil rights and all of that was starting, she actually, by the time Martin Luther King and stuff like that, she had already passed. But she had so much influence on everything. Like W.E.B. Du Bois would come stay at her house when she, when he was alive, and Frederick Douglass. It was people, big, huge, famous people who just knew of her and would be around her, which is kind of crazy, right? She married her husband, Armstead Walker. They ended up raising 2 sons, Melvin and Russell. And so basically she was like, look, education needs to be better. She ended up helping to build up the education system for Black people in America. Like when you think of just, in the Richmond, Virginia area. No,
the America.
Yes. People from all around would come and see her. She was being asked to go to all these different states to speak, to do certain things. And so what ended up happening is she joined like this Freemason group, and they were like, hey, what can we do to help build people up? They ended up creating for Richmond the same as like Tulsa's Black Wall Street. Okay. So there was a Richmond area Black Wall Street that she was responsible for. You had your own banks, your own stores, like your convenience stores, your own laundry,
your own community.
Your own community. And that was in the Jackson Ward area of Richmond, Virginia, right? And so then what ends up happening is that so she's doing all of this, and then with the group that she had, all of a sudden they said, you know what? Things aren't going as planned. The dues aren't coming in right. So much is going on. People are struggling to make ends meet. This group is probably just going to fall apart. And she was like, well, if people don't have the money, maybe we should try to figure out how do we create a bank and raise money so that way we can have it to give to people in our community. And so what ended up happening is that they went through and had people just come and sign ledgers. Like it even had her son's names because they had video of the ledgers, and it had even her son's names. And it was like, Russell, $10 into the bank. Oh, okay. And then, it was like, but then you had somebody, it looked like, I swear, some people were doing $2,000. Some people were doing $50. Some people were doing $1, So it was just showing all these people who they just rallied these troops and just said, hey, come give some money to the bank, right? So what ends up unfortunately happening, well, let me say the positive thing. So the positive thing is they end up getting, she is the bank, the president. Yeah. She ends up getting a mansion, for lack of a better way of saying it, bought a house, like a 2-story, what would be considered by some people like a brownstone, right? So she got a home, and then she was like, you know what? I want, as my kids get older, I'd love for them to live here, for them to bring their families here, like just to expand. And, in some cultures, that's what they do too. Like you build on top of the parents' house or you build beside it. And so what she did is she just said, I'm going to take the next space and turn that into my home. She had her own garage, like things that people back in the 20s did not have, And so when you think of the 1920s,
that's a Great Depression time, right?
Right, exactly. So, and it actually was right before.
Oh, right before the Great Depression.
That kind of hit. So what ended up happening is she ended up having this beautiful house, getting construction people to come and add on to the house, like almost another size of her house was added onto her house. Then as you go through the tour, you can actually see like, oh, this is the part that's the newer part versus this is the part that's older. Her daughter-in-law, once her son passed away, her daughter-in-law was still in the home and helped really with taking care of Maggie Walker before she passed. And she decided, we're going to preserve everything. We're going to keep everything as is because of the fact that we don't want anything to look any different than what it was, because she was such a prominent figure. I feel like this is something that could potentially be a museum one day. That's what her daughter-in-law's vision was.
So she was like Prince.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, Prince was like her.
Yeah, exactly. And so since Maggie Walker passed away in 1934 at the age of 70 due to diabetes, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second, her daughter-in-law preserved everything, the wood, the pictures of the grandkids that she had on her nightstand, where her bed was, the makeshift wheelchair that she had created because she couldn't walk anymore. So she took like a regular chair and had somebody, because she was intuitive enough to come and add wheels to it.
Is that how the president got his?
Well, she might have saw his and decided, but she said that because you have a park ranger who's basically explaining to you the whole story. Like they have the whole park ranger outfit on the hat, the whole thing,
because look like Pharrell. All right.
It's part of the National Park Service because they gave it, the family gifted it to the Park Service, and some of her great grandchildren still come around and give them information. Oh yeah, this used to be Uncle Russell's room, and this is where he used to do X, Y, and Z, and then this is where. Grandma told us we couldn't play in the living room. Or no, it was the dining room. That was for when special people came.
Oh, of course.
So you can't play in there, and all the china's out. And it was like, and you could still see china on the tables.
Yeah.
You could see the china press, so the china cabinets, and all the glassware and stemware. Like everything is like so preserved. What the bathtubs look like, what where she cooked. Like she had a place downstairs where it was like cooking and so you had your kitchen, but then she even had like a little mini area upstairs because once she was unable to walk, she ended up just saying, you know what, when I come in from my garage, I want to be able to go straight up to my room and be good. Now you think, well, she's in a wheelchair. How does she get up to her room? The woman was so intuitive that she was like, if I can have an elevator in my office downtown, why can't I have one in my house?
Come on, Maggie.
In the 1919s and 1920s, she got in contact with the elevator maker that she knew and said, we've added the extension to the house. Turn the closet into an elevator.
That's wild.
So off of her daughter, she had a daughter that they ended up adopting. So they had two sons by marriage, and then they had a daughter that was of a family member of her husband's that they adopted. And so she ended up having a room, and right off of her room, I believe, was where the elevator ended up being. So literally, the elevator.
You got an elevator in your house in during the Depression.
Right.
During the Depression.
And we got to see it. It is so cool. So you like literally, it would like open, it looked like a closet. Okay. And you would open both doors and it would just be where you could go to an elevator. And they said it's still actually working and functional all these years later. Because now you're like 100 years from ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that the stuff that was built then was probably a lot stronger than the crap
potentially.
That we get now.
And you could see that you could still see the brick around, like the back of it, like and everything. So it was like a bricks looking thing. I can't really describe it, but yeah, it was a lift. And so it was able to take her upstairs so that when she got upstairs, everything that she needed was up there. And so her room was huge. She had a sitting room off of her room. I mean, for it being 100 years ago, that, you know, all these things were going on. Like it
still looked modern.
Amazing. And just knowing that she was so forward thinking that, So, the unfortunate part that I was going to mention was that at some point they were having people who were trying to break into their home because, I mean, it's a mansion, you know, in the middle of a city and all of that. So what ended up happening is they had a gun and around the house. And so the son actually was outside trying to figure out what was going on because they heard some noise. He didn't realize his father had come outside too, and he killed his father accidentally. Yeah. Oh. And they said that was Maggie's like worst situation that she could ever live through because he was always in support of what she was doing. He never was that man who was like, no, I'm the man. I need to do X, Y, and Z.
Like Madam C.J. Walker's husband was.
Right. It was like, no, he always knew I'm secondary to her. Like she's the powerhouse.
Stedman and Oprah.
There you go.
Let me hold your purse while you take these pictures.
So what ended up happening is that they just said that she just... You know, I mean, she didn't fall apart, but she lost the love of her life. But then also knowing that her son now was the person who was going to have to stand trial. And it was all white, you know, jury. And it was like, what's going to happen? And are they going to believe it was an accident? Are they going to think he was intentionally trying to kill his father? You know, blah, blah, blah. And in the end, he was acquitted. So he did not end up having to go to prison for killing his father. But her son was never the same after that, became an alcoholic, died of cirrhosis of the liver or something, you know, from alcoholism and all of that. Right, exactly. So, which, I mean, right.
Because that's like in his mind, he has a devastation of, I killed my father and I could possibly have it to where my mother's slowly going to die because of the fact that I killed my father because she lost the love of her life.
Lost the love of her
She feels like she probably has nothing to live for.
Yeah. Well, and what they did end up saying is that, you know, even after he passed, it was like the one thing that it did free her up to do, which she wasn't doing before, because he was older. I mean, her kids were older then, is that she traveled more. So she did get out and about into more other communities. Because I guess she was like, no, I still want to stay home. You know, I want to do certain things. Her daughter was actually the housekeeper, though. So they paid her a salary. They were like, that was unheard of, that you would have a family member who was like basically a home engineer, you know, people
exactly,
say that, you know. So she was like, I'm making sure dinner is done. I'm making sure the house is clean. It's a mansion. Like, so I'm going to make sure all these
that's
things
a
are
whole
done.
full-time job,
right. And then mom can go do what she needs to do at the bank, taking care of everybody, traveling over everywhere. I'll make sure there's food on the table, that everybody's taken care of. And then when Russell got married and had his kids, and, you know, like all the kids, when they had their kids, everybody's in this house. So they said at one point it was like 17, 18 people, like in the actual house, because of the fact that, and she loved it because she was like, this is like what I always dreamed.
This is my compound.
Yeah. Everybody is
That's
here.
literally
and it's just
her
hustling and
compound.
bustling. Yeah. So, but she passed away in 1934 and like I said, of diabetes. And, she, was just a great, you know, person. She's not, again, well known now. Back then, she was world, well, at least
she's not going to be in the
United
history books.
States famous.
Yeah.
And it says here that she broke traditional gender and discriminatory laws by becoming the first Black woman to establish and become president of the bank in the United States. She also ran for office. She also, when she passed away, she would have famous boxers come and stay with her too. Like, it was everybody. And they said that when she passed away, it was a rainy, cold December day, and 5,000 people came out to her funeral to watch and just be there in the presence of what was going on. And her church was right down the street. So people gathered at her home and then traveled down to where her church was. And basically, they said, 5,000 people in the rain with their umbrellas, dressed to the nines, just trying to, you know, be there for her because she was such a powerhouse figure. So, and that was just unheard of too, because so many people had no money. Like, how did people from everywhere get to come and do that?
But you know what? I wonder if she got to go as far as she did because she looked like she could pass.
I don't know.
Some of these pictures looks like she could have possibly passed.
She did, as far as I am aware, she did not do any of that. Like, she was all about, I'm black and black.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, but then nobody's going to stop her from going inside somewhere. You know, say that's the difference.
Potentially,
with your complexion could definitely stop from the doorman from opening the door for you.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely can understand that.
So
And
the name of her bank was the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank.
Because St. Luke was the name of the Freemasons, like the St. Luke Freemasons and things like that she was a part of. So it started off there. Then I think it changed to the Consolidated Banks. So the name changed because they ended up having a bunch of banks open, and then they consolidated them all and started calling them the Consolidated Bank. And I think today, or maybe it just got sold. So it was still going for over 100 years, and then it ended up getting sold, but it was called the People's Bank. So yes, it's been all of those things. So it is very, I think it's the longest running bank, maybe even in the United States.
I will put some money in there once I get some.
Well, but now it's not even owned by any of that. It's some other conglomerate that's
But it's just the fact that this where it came from.
Yep.
Just where it came from.
Exactly.
Even if it's $1.
Exactly. So that is the story of advocate Maggie Lena Walker. And I just wanted to share that because I thought that was a great, you know, kind of tribute to her. And if, again, you are ever in the Richmond, Virginia area, they offer tours. I would recommend making a reservation or showing up. I think tours are every day at 10 a.m. So just make sure you show up before 10 a.m.
They put the statue out.
Yes, they have a statue that is actually, I want to say it's like Broad and Madison or something like that.
Yeah,
so
it's Madison and Monroe. Yeah,
it's
right
Monroe.
there.
It might be Monroe.
Yeah, it's right there across the Max's on Broad. Right there at Max's on Broad. Yeah.
And then they also have a bust of her somewhere too. Like, so you have just her face, you have her whole body, and then you have the home that you can go visit. That is literally the mansion that she purchased that takes up not quite a city block.
Is the governor's school named after her?
Yes, she has a governor's school too. So like the gifted school in Richmond, Virginia is called the Maggie Walker school. So
I remember some girls that I went to school with were super smart. So
they got to go to Maggie
Walker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that was what I had. And what do you have next, sis?
All right. I want to talk about this movie that I watched that was insane.
Okay.
Now I'm wondering if I've already talked about it.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it and we'll find out. I'll let
Did
you
I
know.
talk about M. Night Shyamalan?
Yes.
I talked about Trap?
No.
You
No,
didn't tell
you
me.
told me that you had watched
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah, I
and
told
that
you.
you
Yeah,
like
yeah,
to
yeah.
say it
Okay,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
but you didn't
Okay.
tell me what you
What
had
was
talked
it?
about.
Okay.
I didn't know which movie you were talking about.
Okay,
That
okay,
was
okay.
M.
All
Night
right,
Shyamalan, because that's how you like to say
M.
it.
Night Shyamalan. So yeah, the movie is called Trap.
Okay.
It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like I said, if you know about M. Night Shyamalan, his movies don't always end to where you get answers.
No, they do not.
They definitely leave you hanging.
There's an often
But I
case
mean,
of that. Yep.
he embodies the what's in that case in Pulp Fiction. That's gold shining in everybody's face.
It's like signs.
Yeah,
Where you're
yeah,
like, is it or isn't it? And you
yeah.
get a
The
little
Village.
glimpse.
The
Yeah.
Village.
The Village I
Is
never
that-
watched.
The Village was
Oh,
like.
and what was the one there? The people knocking at the door in the woods, the cabin in the woods.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I thought you watched that one. That was the one with the guy.
Oh yeah,
Batista.
yeah. But that was him. That was
I think
M. Night
that was him
Shyamalan?
too.
Okay,
Yep.
but yeah,
Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know for sure either. Yeah. So Trap is you can watch it on Max.
Okay.
It's gonna be weird. So everybody prepare.
Okay.
All right. So it's a man and his daughter, and they go to his daughter's favorite.
Oh yeah, it wasn't M. Night Shyamalan. My
Okay.
bad.
Goes to the daughter's favorite concert, like the favorite artist, like this girl, Queen something, I can't remember, Raven something, I can't remember what her name was.
Okay.
But she does play a big part in the movie, so maybe I should pull that up. I'll give you the cast really quick. All right, the cast is Josh Hartnett. He plays Cooper, who is the father. You have Ariel Donahue, who plays Riley, who is the daughter. You have Salika Shyamalan.
Oh, relation.
Yeah.
I would
Who
guess.
plays Lady Raven. That is the artist, Lady Raven. You have Allison Phil, who plays Rachel, who is the mother of Riley. Riley also has a little brother, but they don't really talk about him. He's not really in the movie. And let me see. Kid Cudi is in it as the Thinker. He's a guy who's on there as well. M. Night Shyamalan, of course, he always puts
Does his
himself in his own
cameo.
music. He has his own movies. So yeah, those are the main people that you need to know about.
And to clarify, sorry to break in, but Knock at the Cabin,
Yeah, Knock at the Cabin.
is M. Night Shyamalan
Okay.
with Batista in it.
Okay.
I was thinking there was another one that was called
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the
something?
Woods
Yeah.
is a whole different
Yeah, it's a whole
movie.
different
yeah,
one, yeah.
so I was correct.
Yeah. All right, so let me start over again with that. So, because we got the cast out the way. Okay, so it's a man and his daughter go to her favorite artist concert. All right. She is hyped, but her dad's like trying to figure out what's going on. He's looking all around. It's like he's getting like weirded out. He's like, why are there so many cops here? So he's looking all around trying to figure out what's going on. So he asked around, and then one guy tells him that there's a whole sting opera. He's like, look, I'm not supposed to tell you this. The guy selling the T-shirts.
Oh,
He's
he
like,
knows what's happening.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's like, hey, we had a whole meeting about this earlier. Everybody who works here is part of this sting operation because we're trying to find this killer who's out here and he's just, he's a serial killer and he's like kidnapping people and killing people. So they're trying to find him and they know that he's at this concert and he's telling the killer this. So Josh Hartnett playing Cooper is looking at him like, is that right? Isn't that something? Now, this is the thing. You find out that the father is a killer because of the fact that he's like, hey, sweetie, I'm going to go to the bathroom. When he goes to the bathroom, he pulls his phone out, puts in a little code into his little cryptid app, and then you see a man tied up in a basement somewhere.
So this tells you very early on
Very
who
early on.
is
Yeah.
the killer.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're no spoilers really.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, so when he opens up the phone, you see him and like the guy's in the basement, the guy's like freaking out. He's like, please, somebody help me. So like, he's like, Josh Hartnett is like literally in the bathroom looking at this, like excited about it. So when you first see him go into the bathroom and pull his phone out, you're like, oh, what is he about to do in this bathroom at this concert?
Oh goodness.
And then it was like, oh wait, what is he doing in this bathroom at this concert?
Gotcha.
So, So he starts freaking out, and his daughter starts to notice that he's acting strange. So she's like, hey, what's going on with you? And he brushes her off and it's like, hey, I'll be back. I'm going to go. Like, we were trying to get these T-shirts. They didn't have the right size. He told me to come back. So I'm going to go and see if I can get these T-shirts. She goes to the guy. The guy's like, hey, yeah, man, they're in the back. I'll go and get them. He was like, well, I'll walk with you because we have this rapport. The guy takes the man backstage. And all through the basement and the back hallways where they have all of the memorabilia, whatever. So he's getting all that stuff, and as he does that, he's getting more information about what's happening. So the guy's like, yeah, this is kind of crazy. Like, I don't even know what I would do if I saw the killer. Like, what would I even say? He's like, yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah. What would you say?
Yeah,
besides giving me all the information.
Right.
Yeah. So, when
he didn't feel it's weird that he's asking all these questions.
No.
He's just okay.
No.
It wouldn't be a movie.
It was just a nice guy. It was just a nice white guy with his daughter. Yeah. Brought her to her favorite concert.
Yeah.
Talking to the guy about the T-shirts.
Because the murderer wouldn't have a daughter.
Well, the murderer wouldn't. Why would the murderer be there with his daughter? Why wouldn't he just be there to find his next victim?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that was the whole thing. So once he brushes her off, then he starts doing anything and everything he can to try to get out of this building. So while he's with the guy, he's trying to get passes to go in different places. He's sneaking in and out of the he is so many places. I'm like, how is this man getting around without being noticed?
But also I don't know. Why can't he leave? Because the cops they already know what he looks like?
I was about to the building is completely surrounded by the police and SWAT as well as inside. And they are coming through slowly, grabbing the men in the concert. Hey, excuse me, sir. I know you're here with your kids. Come with me. We need to talk to you. Now, he's walking with his daughter later on, and there's a whole line of guys that are walking with the police.
Okay.
So they're going section by section, grabbing these guys, asking them questions.
That's unsafe for the
and
kids.
then bringing them back in. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it is. But
I'm leaving my kid. I'm like, no, I'm not going. That's the whole purpose of me being here is with my kid. And why are so many men at a concert with their kids? Where are the moms at?
At home with the other kids, because, you got to be Susie Homemaker. I don't know.
I'm just asking.
It wasn't really that many men, but it was all the men that were there.
Yeah, because they somehow had word that the man is going to be here.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So, let me see. So he keeps freaking out because they keep getting closer and closer to his section where him and his daughter are.
Okay.
So he's looking all around, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Now, what happens from there is actually the meat of the movie. That's when it starts to get good. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it. But, so it's basically how does he get out without being noticed, without his daughter finding out, everything that was happening. And then him realizing this concert was made up for me, to find me.
Oh.
And there's this one lady who has been studying him, who is the profiler, is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh yeah, she's told everybody, he doesn't like this, he doesn't like that, you have to talk to him this way, you have to do this, you have to do that. And that does come into play later on. So, like I said, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. So you might not like the end, but then you might like the end. I don't know. But I would say this is a better M. Night Shyamalan movie than some of the other ones.
Than most.
Yeah, some of the other ones, because it's that's smart. That's kind of smart. So, yeah, like I said, it might not end like he wanted to, but it does end, pretty all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your answers are not going your questions are not going to be answered.
Questions will not be answered. What better?
Yeah.
Thing
But yeah, it's good. So like I said, it's called Trap. It is on Max. I think it was in the theaters, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was in the theaters, and now it's exclusively on Max.
All right,
Yeah,
excellent.
So that's all that I have. What do you have next?
I have Wolves.
I love wolves. I was going to talk about wolves one day, but I didn't talk about it yet.
Okay, so there you go. So wolves, and it's not wolves.
Yeah, it's
because,
wolves.
Yeah, because
no V.
it doesn't. Yeah, it has no VES. It's just WOLFS.
Yeah.
Wolves. So, yeah. So the interesting thing about this movie is that, like, first of all, me just trying to look up the cast, it doesn't have a name for George Clooney's character.
I don't think there's a name for either one of their characters.
Well,
is there?
they said that Brad Pitt's character's name is Nick. But
I don't think they
then-
ever say his
I
character.
didn't remember that either. And then they go, George Clooney is Margaret's man and Brad Pitt is Pam's man. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what in the world? Like,
Because,
that's their
but you
name.
got to watch the movie. So
And
you
then
know,
the
yeah.
kid is the kid.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it's just an interesting.
So when I was watching it with the subtitles on, it just said guy.
Okay, so
Or like
it
man.
didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't have a
It
name.
didn't have a
on it for
name
the
like Nick
subtitles.
said this or
Yeah.
John said that or anything. All right, so it starts off with a woman who seems to recognize that someone is dead in her big suite.
Yes.
Her huge, wonderful, you can tell she's got money, suite if she paid for this hotel room.
She's a big time lady.
Yeah, so basically you just hear her on the phone. She's panicked and she's basically saying, hey, I was told that if I ever had a situation, you're who I should call. She just had this card. And so you hear this person who's a little skeptical, you know, about all of this. Like, how'd you find out about me? How do you know about me? All those kind of things. But long story short, she ends up calling him, and the him that she called was George Clooney's character, since I don't have a name for him. And so he arrives.
Yeah.
To be the cleaner upper. So he is basically coming in to find out what's going on. It's kind of funny because he's trying to figure out like what has happened, what's going on. Oh, the guy's dead. Oh, it looks like he might have overdosed, something to that effect. So all of a sudden there's like a knock at the door or a doorbell or something. I can't remember. And he's like, are you expecting somebody? And she's like, absolutely not. And so she ends up going to the door and there's another voice who's like, basically, I'm the fixer. And it's like, well, I already got a fixer, she's thinking. And, you know, George Clooney like, yeah, I'm here, I'm hiding, but okay, whatever. So then all of a sudden, Brad Pitt walks in. Almost exactly the same outfit.
Yeah.
Doing the exact thing almost, you know. And she's just like, well, who called you? Because if I called him, then who called you?
Yeah.
And so you come to realize that I guess this suite, this room where she was, this hotel has cameras in the rooms so that way they will know when certain situations
happens so they
pop
can
off.
take care of it.
And so
tiny cameras, it's not big
person-
cameras.
no,
They're little tiny cameras in
cameras,
like the
pen
corner.
cameras.
Yeah, like in the corner. of the
And
room.
so the camera actually, the person who was manning the camera, which we never found out who that was, did we? I'm trying to remember.
No.
We never found out who that was. But the person who mans it basically calls because George Clooney steps out and they kind of know each other, the two cleaners. And so it ends up being this scenario of the hotel's trying to do what's in their best interest to clean up this potential OD, right? Then you have where she called George Clooney, so he's trying to clean it up. So basically the woman who's talking to everybody just says, look, you two just have to work together. Long story short, that's what y'all have to do. So George Clooney's character, what were you going to say?
Frances McDormand.
Oh, is that whose voice it is?
That's whose voice. I knew the
Frances
voice, and I was
McDormand.
like, whose voice is that?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't
Okay,
think of
well,
who it
there
was.
we
Now
go.
know. Okay.
So what ends up happening is that Brad Pitt's character, I guess because he was hired by the hotel folks, he's just sitting there chilling. He's just like, all right, well you were the one called to clean it.
You
so
got it.
you got it. Do it however you need to do it. And, you know, of course, George Clooney like, so you're not even going to help me? You know, he's like, I'll help you get rid of it, but I'm not going to help you to clean this up. So he's watching, even though George Clooney doesn't want him to, he's watching his process, his cleaning process of trying to like basically pick up a dead body and get it out of this building when you're not trying to be discovered. And it was creative. I will say that. It involved a whole cart that you would get with your luggage cart from a hotel and props and pulleys and all this kind of stuff, right? So then they finally go out. And, well, they tell the lady to leave. Like, is there anybody you could say you were with? You know, create her alibi, all of that kind of stuff. They finally get the body out to the car. And, you know, you got security out there, the whole 9 yards. They're trying to be very discreet. as they put the body into the car, and they're
really
having
put the body into the car.
Huh?
Did they really put the body into
What do
the
you
car?
mean?
Doesn't he just push the hotel
cart,
cart
yeah,
and then the
cart
body just
pushes
flops
it,
into
yeah.
it?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, the body's in the car.
Yeah.
So as it's in the trunk, they're having some kind of argument or whatever. Well, in the process of the two of them going at it and talking, I can't remember, just like having beef with each other because
Yeah,
they're
it's like,
both
well, I
in
would
the
have done
same.
it this way. Well,
Yeah.
this is not you.
Right.
This is me.
Mm-hmm.
So watch how I do this.
Right. So what ends up happening is all of a sudden the bag opens up and the kid's like,
Yeah.
and he's alive. So they're cleaning up somebody who isn't really dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore it becomes, okay, what do we do now?
Mm-hmm.
So we together have to figure out, okay, so if he's not dead, but we thought he was dead, he's now seen us. Do we now kill him? Do we now
what are we
figure
supposed to
out
do?
what
Yeah.
what do we do with him? And that's really where all of the shenanigans ensue
Oh
from
my
there.
God. Yeah, it's so good. I
And
love
it goes through so many things. Like the kid, first
I've
of
watched it
all,
twice.
he ends up just getting out of the car and like running at one point.
Yeah.
And he's just running in his underwear.
I mean, he's running like he just got shot in the chest with adrenaline.
Yeah,
He
but I
is
mean, it's
just
almost
gone.
like
Yeah.
because of the fact that he was high and it's like something, it's
Yeah.
almost like he's on adrenaline.
Yeah.
So he's just running like his little feet and they're trying to catch
He
him.
has
and
on
they're go-
socks and tidy
socks and
whities.
underwear. And he's going upscale and he's coming down.
Like he's in
and
a
he's going
mall
through
or something
alleys, and
like
he's
that,
going through
yeah.
a mall and he's going through the back door and he's climbing up he's on the bridge. Like he's just running. And Brad Pitt's running after him and George Clooney's in the car trying to get him and all this stuff. And then if you see the trailer, you'll see where he kind of jumps over a car.
Yeah, gets hit. Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
And so you are just trying to figure out, okay, what are they going to do with him? How does he play into this whole picture? How did the two of them, being that they can't stand each other, come together to make all of this stuff happen the way that it needs to in order for everything to be taken care of? And then what are all these twists and turns that come into this whole movie as well? Because I mean, it's got so many different.
When they have to go and they're just like, all right, well, I got to call my person. It's like, well, you call your person. I'll call my person.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'll call my person. You don't need to worry about calling your person. Well, let's see who gets on the phone first.
Right.
Come find out.
Same person.
Same person.
They got the same person.
Yeah,
So
same
yeah. So and then you're just like, man, like I wouldn't have put together that we would have had the same person. And then is your relationship with the same person the same as my relationship with the same person? And all I mean, like,
and then the people that see them together was like, oh, so y'all are partners. We're not partners.
Right. Exactly.
I'm a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Not partners.
Yeah. Which
Y'all
is
look
why
like-
they're not wolves.
I know, but it's like,
They're
but you,
lone wolves.
but you look like partners.
Yeah, exactly. And oh, by the way, there's a place that they go where they can definitely not be seen as partners.
Yeah.
So that because that just means that everything that this person thinks that they have told one person that the other person should know about, if you both see them, then you're just going to think, oh, they already told. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
working
got
together.
Some, right. It's got some layers to it for sure. But I personally found it a really good watch.
I loved it.
Yeah, you watched it twice,
Yeah.
so obviously. But yeah, it is definitely interesting seeing Brad Pitt and George Clooney in a movie together, you know, because at some point in both of their careers, they've been heartthrobs and, you know, all of that. And of course, I'm not saying that they're older, but it's just funny seeing them in their interaction, their banter, the fact that they are like, you know, they're making little jokes about how George Clooney's is more seasoned, you know, like, oh, I'm the newer version, the newer model.
Ocean's 11 kind of.
Yeah,
how they go back and forth with each other. Like
exactly. I forgot about that. Yeah. So it is a lot like that. But it was cute. I liked it. It's got good reviews. You know, for the most part, people
I give it a
probably
9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, see, I don't know about that, but no, I mean, really, when you look at Rotten Tomatoes, though, it doesn't look like it's all that favorable. It says 67% or 7 out of 10. Mm-hmm. But to me, I thought it was better than that.
But then also you got to think about it because it's on Apple TV. How many people actually have Apple
That's
TV
true.
to
I
watch
didn't
it?
say that part. Yeah, so it is on Apple TV, and it does say Prime Video on my app that you can kind of see it. Yeah, you'd probably have to rent it from there. But yep, so that is WOLFS, Wolves.
Wolves.
It's hard to say it, Wolves. But anyway, all right, sis. And what do you have?
Okay, so I want to talk about Martha Stewart, that is.
Oh, Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart has a documentary on Netflix.
Oh, I was just hearing about that today.
Let me tell you. Okay, the whole thing is her. You see her. You hear other people's voices. She's like, no, it's my documentary. Why do you need to see other people? Like, that's the vibe that I got from Martha Stewart. Was like, no, if you want to write this about me, if this is going to be about me, it's only going to be about me. You don't need to see, you don't need to see my daughter. You don't need to see my ex-husband. You can hear their voice overs.
And so they're showing her the whole time on the screen, but they're
like showing her, and they have like clips of like different stuff and pictures.
But they don't even have the two of them together. Like, they don't have any pictures of her in her head. Like, you don't have no idea what her husband
They
looks
have
like.
pictures of them and stuff like that. But it's not video. Only face that you see, as far as like, hey, let me ask you some questions, is Martha Stewart. Everybody else, it's like it will say her daughter, such and such, and then it will be like her talking while you see some pictures of like stuff that's going on, or like her best friend talking while you see pictures of stuff that's going on. But Martha Stewart is the biggest gangster.
That's why her and Snoop are best friends.
Well, I mean, it's not even that.
I'm joking.
But he was saying that he just respects her and he loves her just because of how awesome of a person is. He was like, she about her business.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that she had said, was that if a man does anything that I've been doing, they're going to be like, man, he's a tough cookie. He's hard to crack. He's a great person. As soon as a woman does it, she's like, I'm now a female dog.
And difficult and everything. Yeah, of course.
Oh my God, how dare she talk to me that way? She was like, well, I told you to do it this way and you didn't do it this way. So therefore, that's the reason. She was like, she asked somebody, why aren't these cups selling? And he was like, I don't know. She was like, because you made the finger hole too small after I told you to make it bigger, because that's not how I want my stuff to be sold. And he was like, he went like telling people, oh, she was so horrible. She was yelling at me and screaming at me. Then some people did say that she did yell and scream.
I mean, well, hello, Gordon Ramsay.
I mean, yeah. But then also it's like
nobody has a connection.
Well, that's a whole chef thing. That's a whole nother part of the world that nobody understands. If you work in a kitchen, you're always getting yelled at. You're probably, like, most of the guys that I know, like most of the guys and girls that I know that work in kitchens are super stressed out, always drinking, always just like barely making it by because of the fact that they're just trying to put their all into what they're doing because they love the craft so much.
That sounds horrific.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't like to cook anyway, so there's that.
But,
so the bear is a real...
that's a real thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, they talk about how Martha Stewart was the first influencer, basically. Oh. Because she wasn't like Julia Childs. Julia Childs would make stuff that it was like somebody famous would make. Somebody like it takes so many steps for you to make this. Like, you gotta, if so you don't have an emulsifier, intricate. Then you can't do this.
Okay, gotcha.
Martha Stewart's thing was, I want to be able to make meals that people who live in apartments and people who live in mansions can make it.
Got it.
It's not going to be too much. It's not going to be,
you'll already have the flour. Yes. You already have the salt.
Exactly. So she was talking about how she was like, I'm a homemaker, but I made a homemaker a positive thing. I'm trying to make it to where, oh, she's just a homemaker. No, I am making a change. So everything that she's done as far as like gardening and stuff like that, she learned all of this from her father. Now, she is a lot like her father in some ways where it comes to the difficulty it is working with her. She said that her father would be like, y'all need to do this. And if you didn't do it, she said, you got the yardstick, you got the switch, you got the belt. If you don't do it his way. She also said that her father was a bigot. And then she was supposed to be engaged, supposed to be getting married to this man who was like the most awesome man. Like, he had an American Express like back in like 1950 something or 60 something. And she was like, no, that's unheard of. Like, nobody knows anything about that. She was like, so I was impressed by that. And it talks about her when she was coming up, how it was hard for her father to be able to make any money because he really didn't have a job, and he had to grow the food that they needed, and then they were kind of doing the bartering system for like, I'll give you this if you give me this, because this is what we need. But when she got older, one of her neighbors was like a model. And she was like, the girl and her mom was like, hey, you know what? You should think about doing this because you're cute. You're natural blonde.
Yeah.
And you got a cute face. So she started modeling and stuff. I think it was like 15, 16 years old. She said she got paid $15 an hour back then.
Oh, wow.
And she said she was constantly giving her mother money because she's like, there's still little brothers and sisters that she had at home.
Yeah, at home.
That she was trying to help take care of. So, it really goes into it. But I will tell you this, Martha Stewart is like, I'm doing what I want to do, and I don't care what anybody thinks of me. She cheated on her husband twice, and she was like, it was nothing. What? One of them was just a kiss in a cathedral. The other one was like the kiss in a cathedral, but just a little more. But it was nothing. Yeah, she was like, it was nothing. She was like,
because this is the ex-husband.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
But then it was just like, the guy who was interviewing was like, so would you say that you were, she was like, no, I wasn't unfaithful or anything. She was like, it was a beautiful moment. That's all it was. And he's like, okay.
So you were unfaithful, basically. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Okay. But, yeah, she goes through so much talking about how she built up her empire. She was working on Wall Street.
I do remember hearing
Only female. They didn't even have women's bathrooms in there. That's what they said. They didn't have women's bathrooms. She said it was a lot of stuff that was going on. She said she didn't even want to talk about the stuff that happened in the backseat of the cabs with the men that she had to, be around, like them trying to do stuff with her. And she talks about how she just kept growing her business, and when she would go to somebody and be like, hey, this is what I want to do, and they'd be like, okay, well, we want to twist it. She's like, okay, thanks for the opportunity, I'm leaving. And they're like, whoa, wait, where are you going? She was like, no, because I'm telling you this is what I want to do, and you're telling me this is what you want me to do. I don't work that way. That's not
how it happens, right?
So that's how she got the books, the TV shows, the everything, like the aprons, the cookware, like anything that has to do with your house.
Yep.
Is Martha Stewart.
She's like, I'm going to brand it.
You want curtains? Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
You want a knife? Martha Stewart. You want a rug? Martha Stewart.
Of course.
You want a mixer?
Yeah.
Martha Stewart.
She probably even has fixtures like, oh, you need the thing to hang up. Yeah,
sconces by Martha Stewart Living.
Yep. If you end up like, oh, you need something to put your bath towel on. We got the bar for that. You need curtain rods. Yep, we got those too.
And she literally goes from that to now the insider trading thing. And then she was talking about that. She was like, I don't think it's going to be as bad as they think it's going to be. When she was with Barbara Walters, and Barbara Walters was like, are you prepared? She was like, I don't think it's as bad as I think it's going to be. It's not like going to be on TV. And then later on, you read her, like somebody's reading some of her diary, and she was like, they made me get completely naked, spread my cheeks, squat down and cough. And they, they're looking in between your legs with like, she was like, everything that you see on TV is what it was. So she said she was scared, but then also at the same time, she said that a lot of the ladies in there were like, yo, come on, you're Martha Stewart.
I like your stuff.
They didn't give her anything special. I think she said there was a guard that was there.
Well, the facility itself was special.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I don't really
Federal
know.
prisons typically
are. Well, she said that the one lady there was an older lady, older than her that had a garden. And she said that they didn't have any supplies for the garden. So now Martha Stewart was trying to help her to build the garden back up with like other different things. Like, okay, we can use this for this.
Okay, gotcha.
Instead of, since we can't get it.
Substitute.
And and then how she came out and her boyfriend like she was dating at the time, let her, like, she walked out of prison, got into a car, went to a tarmac and left on a private plane.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. And and then she just built herself up back from there, because while she was in prison, she lost her TV show.
Of course.
Which was, I think that was Martha Stewart Living.
Probably. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. I don't know if that was, anyway. And then she got another TV show where she had celebrities come on. She was like, I hated it. I didn't want to do that. She was like, I wanted to go back to the things that I was doing before. I didn't want to teach people who don't want to cook how to cook on live television.
Yeah.
So she was like, it was just something that she didn't want to do. And then it talks about how she gets in with Snoop Dogg, how she gets in with Justin Bieber, and how she's on his roast. Mm-hmm. So it goes into a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, she is definitely like, she is.
And she was on like what, Sports Illustrated, like the
Yeah, she was the oldest woman. On the cover of Sports Illustrated. But it basically, she is the I don't care what you say mascot.
Yeah. And the good thing about it, number one, I mean, most people who are fans of Martha Stewart don't know that. Like, they'll find that out during this documentary.
Don't know what?
That I think that they knew that she, for example, was a person of, look, I need what I need, how I need it. I think they knew that she was very precise and very picky and probably a type A personality. But I don't know if they knew that she was like, but I don't give a flip. Like, I'm going to do what I need to do. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that.
My goals are going to be what's going to be delivered.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
they didn't
I mean?
realize how stern that she was about her own, I guess her own empire that she's building.
But my hope, though, and I'll have to watch it myself too, but I feel like what will happen, though, is people might watch this and say, wow, here I am thinking that she did this. And yes, being, assertive, right? Not necessarily forceful or, stern or whatever, but like, oh, she's being assertive and, she doesn't want to come across to, this or that or whatever. Because you never really heard, I mean, I'm sure you would hear that of her, but then you're thinking, well, it's just because she's a woman. If people are calling her the B word, it's like, well, because she's a woman and she's asking for what she wants and she knows what she deserves, right? It's kind of like how some people might feel that way about Oprah, but I think most people think she's assertive. She knows what she wants. She's explaining it, blah, blah, blah. And then for people to see that Martha was like, oh, no, this is how it's going to be. It may help people to step up themselves and say, you know what? Yeah. Me watching her, like, I have a whole different understanding of who she was than what I thought. And if she was able to acquire and build and do this, being that type of person, maybe I don't need to be as nice. Maybe I don't have to lower my standards or my morals to be able to get ahead, but instead put my foot down and say, you know what? I, as a businesswoman, am trying to build up to this. And if you're telling me I have to do it this way, I don't. I can take my business elsewhere.
Exactly. But there is some videos from older things. I mean, she looked like she might have been this might have been right out of prison no, this is before prison, where she had some ladies that were like helping her get ready for something, and they're recording her, and as they're recording her, she looks at the lady, she said, why would you use that small knife to cut an orange? Why don't you use a big knife? This doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you? She's like, because now you have to roll the orange and now the slices are not going to be precise. Why don't you just use the big knife and do this? And then she's like, all right, don't record that.
Don't put that in.
And then that's in the documentary. Exactly. So it might not have been in that episode of whatever show she was doing, but it was definitely in that documentary. So she calls people nitwits. She calls them idiots.
Well, and I mean, in her mind, she's thinking, okay, this is the way it needs to be done. Like, because she's that perfectionist. What, it doesn't make any sense. And there are certain people who are almost like they have Tourette's. When they see things that are being done incorrectly, they can't help themselves but to actually call it out and to say something. I, on occasion, do that. Yeah. I don't call people nitwits and things like that, but I do sometimes find like, wait, so if this was over here, that was over, what made you decide to pick that? Like, to me, it seems like it would be this. And, and there's been often times where somebody is like, oh yeah, that's right. That does make more logical sense. And I'm like, but how do people not just put that together right off the bat?
Because you already know that common sense is not common.
This is true.
So what's common sense to you might be I have
foreign
to read a book
to somebody else, right?
Where's the Cliff Notes version?
It's Greek to somebody else.
But also, it was probably that she was so stern and everything. It was so tough, not only because of like being like her father, but then it's also like, I am a woman.
Yeah.
That is trying to be out here, and I have to make sure that I am the best at everything, because if not, then I'm gonna be below. And if for her going from Wall Street, where it's a very like all men,
she had to learn.
She had to learn that sternness and things like that. So
I think that's what built her up too. Is like, wait a minute, I'm a woman. If I'm gonna get half of the things that they have, I'm gonna have to work double as hard.
Exactly. So that was another thing that I think was
the work ethic.
Yeah,
was
one of
built
her
up
work
and
ethics.
all of that too. Yeah,
Exactly. But it's good. It's called Martha. It is on Netflix.
Okay.
You can see it. The billboard of it is, not the billboard, but the picture of it is actually her thirst trap picture that she took in the pool.
Oh, the thirst trap.
Yeah,
Love
thirst
it.
trap.
I
Yeah.
do remember that pool picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lips poked out. Yeah.
Well, okay, everybody. That is it for this week's episode of Sestra-Tainment. Have an amazing week coming up. Take care. Bye.